My mindset always has been, since I was little and even now, is I don't give up. So the quote that I have behind my desk, and I'll actually read it to you, is as follows, is victory does not go to the swift, nor the strong, but those who endureth to the end. The journey of self-discovery never, ever, ever ends. And the more you can get feedback on who you are and how you operate through courses and coaches and colleagues, the faster you can improve. So humility is really the super fuel for growth. Truth is, the best motivation comes from the inside, and that's from living your purpose. So once you know what your purpose is, how you can be in service of human beings, the difference you want to make in the world, it is the most natural self-motivator you'll ever have.
And that is coming up next on Bootstrapping Your Dreams Show, so stay tuned. So, the big question is this: how are ambitious people like us, who don't have a lot of resources, did not go to Ivy League colleges, were not born into wealth, how do we become resourceful enough, use our creativity, our dedication, and a little bit of crazy to bootstrap our way to realizing our dreams? Whether it is launching a new company, launching a new app, or making it to the top of the corporate ladder? That is the question, and this podcast will give you the answers. We have created a tremendous community of bootstrappers, entrepreneurs, and professionals who are ambitious, resourceful, and want to get things done. We brainstorm, support, and help each other out. So come join us. Navigate to bootstrapping.group, join today, and get the Startup Founders Technology Accelerator video series absolutely free. If you enjoyed this video, then do let us know by hitting that like button now. Or if you want us to improve our content, then go ahead and hit that thumbs down button and give us your honest feedback in the comment section below. Here at Tetanoodle, we are passionate about entrepreneurship, technology, and innovation. Every week, we bring you insightful and engaging videos, interviews, tips, tricks, and strategies to help you grow your business or rise in your corporate profession. If you're new here, please do consider subscribing, and do not forget to hit that bell icon so that you are notified when we publish new content. Hello and welcome to this new episode of Bootstrapping Your Dreams Show. I'm your host Manuj Aggarwal, and today we'll be talking with Peter Montoya. So Peter is an accomplished public speaker, author, and CEO of ThriveUnion. Peter and his team at ThriveUnion are committed to inspiring and seeing people transform their lives through empowerment and the community. They are sparking a movement where people transcend from meaningless isolation to purposeful belonging, tackling massive subjects affecting our society such as loneliness, responsibility, and longevity. Peter has decades of experience to offer, along with some aspirational ideas that may ignite good conversations and positive life changes. That's what we're going to explore in this episode. So welcome, Peter.
Manuj, thank you so much. I'm glad to be here.
Awesome. That's great. So can you tell us a little bit about yourself, take us down the memory lane so that we can get familiar with you? I understand you've been a very successful entrepreneur. So we were talking about that briefly before the interview. So can you just sort of give us a glimpse of your past and your journey?
Sure. I grew up here in Southern California. I got a degree from the University of California, Irvine, in political science. And when you have a degree in political science, you only have a couple choices when you graduate. You can go to become a lawyer, you can go into sales, or you can go into food services, becoming a waiter or a bartender. I didn't have the discipline or the intelligence for law school, so I went into sales. And I started my first job working for the biggest motivational speaker in the world. Motivation never really quite jived with me. I still don't like the genre very much. It's always so superficial and so hypey, and also it's firmly rooted in the prosperity doctrine, which I have some issues with. Okay. But that's where I kind of cut my teeth as a speaker and a trainer. I did that for a couple of years, worked for other big, large motivational speakers. Then I started my own advertising agency in 1998. And in 2006, I transformed that into a software company called Marketing Pro. Marketing Pro was a marketing automation company that specialized only in automated marketing solutions for financial service professionals. Okay. And then I sold that company to another larger marketing company, software company, in 2018. And also along during that time, I've written 3 books on personal branding and delivered over 3,000 speeches to different audiences, largely in marketing and branding over the last 30 years.
That's awesome. That's great. And so, that has been a really interesting and successful journey. But at the same time, what you shared with me that at times you were not sure what exactly were you doing. So, how did you overcome all those challenges? How did you figure things out, even though you didn't have a background in tech or anything like that? Yet you built a very successful technology company.
That's a great question. Yeah, because the life of an entrepreneur is very, very fraught, especially when you are bootstrapping. And, I more or less started my entrepreneurial journey in 1998, and I didn't really have any money until probably 2012 or 2013. So for the first 14 years, I was always robbing from Peter to pay Paul. Every single day, I was moving money around to pay business bills, personal bills, and basically bootstrap the whole entire business. And there were numerous times in that 14 years where, for months at a time, I would go to bed at night going, how am I going to make payroll the next day? Are we doing the right business? This business isn't working. Being an entrepreneur also means for a while you're usually delusional. You usually believe so much in what you're doing. You think certainly the market's going to follow. And one day you wake up and go, oh my gosh, it's not working. And you have to change direction. So part of being an entrepreneur is, having enough courage and will to plow through the tough times. And other times is having enough awareness to go, this is clearly not working. We have to change direction. And knowing the difference between when to soldier on forward and when to change direction is really a magical sense.
Yeah. Well, that's very interesting point because, it kind of contradicts a lot of what is sort of instilled or taught to entrepreneurs, meaning keep going, stay the course, don't give up. So how do you reconcile that with this notion of this is not working, now it's time to pivot? So is it sometimes people make that pivot too early, too late? How did you go through that process?
That's a really good question. I mean, who knows? Maybe some of the times I pivoted, I missed massive opportunities. So, you always make the best decision that you can. My earlier business models were eat what you kill models. So every single month, I was always going out and eating what I killed, and I had to kill every single month or my business would go bankrupt. It wasn't until 2007, 2008 that I really wanted to get a recurring revenue business model, which seemed to be the obvious answer. But it takes years to get velocity doing that because, you start piling on 10 subscribers in a week or 20 or 30. And it doesn't take till 2 or 3 years before you start getting 1,000 new per month or 3,000 new per month. And you start really getting some velocity. So that was the major lesson that I learned from the first 10 years of business is that I was sick and tired of having to eat what I killed every single month. It was just so fatiguing.
Yeah. And so one skill that you brought up, which is sales and marketing, I think it's a very critical skill to have for any entrepreneur. Do you agree with that statement? And how much of your experience in sales helped you through your journey?
That's a great question. So I really believe in the vast majority of small businesses that the CEO, the president, is the number one salesperson and marketing person in the organization. For most small businesses, the president and CEO is doing the vast majority of the sales. And they really have to. Number one, they're the only one with enough skin in the game where they go to bed, sleeping about it, waking up, dream about it at night, and waking up knowing that they absolutely have to do it. So, I was more or less working 2 full-time jobs. I was working, 30 hours a week, 40 hours a week on the advertising business, and another 30 or 40 hours a week building the software business at the same time. Wow. I would get into the office at 5:30 or 6 o'clock in the morning. I would start making cold calls to the enterprise clients who I was selling to, and then I would start scheduling presentations. And then the other hours, I was actually keeping the business running to afford this software business as I was getting it up and going. So yeah, sales and marketing is absolutely critical, and it's almost always the number one principal who is doing that job. And the other good thing about that is when you're doing sales and marketing is you get to figure out what works. You can come back and make changes to the product based on what you see happening in the market.
Yeah, that's true. And so now let's talk about other entrepreneurs. We have a lot of aspiring and existing entrepreneurs in the audience. So since you had sales experience, you didn't have tech experience, and some other somebody else may have tech experience like myself. I don't have sales experience. So what is the right way to sort of fill that gap? Do you think partnership is the way to go, or do you think hiring people is the way to go? And when you bootstrap, hiring is sometimes a challenge because you don't have anything to offer to them. So how did you tackle that situation?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think that I got really lucky. I would imagine, as I'm a non-techie, I would probably rate myself as a very advanced user. I'm a really good user of technology, but compared to the technology people who I know, I'm absolutely a neophyte. I still regularly talk with other tech entrepreneurs, and they talk circles around me on a regular basis about technology. So I just barely understood it. I just got really lucky, and the one person I hired to be my lead developer was good, honest, hardworking, and knew what he was doing. He's still with that company 10 years later. Unfortunately, when I sold the company, I lost him, but he's a great guy. So I think I got really lucky. I mean, I would imagine the failure rate among technology companies has got to be 90%. And it's probably 95% when you don't have a technology guy running the company. I just think I got incredibly lucky.
Awesome. That's great. And so, every successful story or even, failure story has some component which we tend to ignore, which is the mindset. So I talk a lot about that because I think that is the sort of foundation for everything, everything significant that you undertake. So will you can you share what was going through your mind? What was the state of your mind as you were building this company? Did your state of mind have a lot to do with your success as well?
Yeah, absolutely. My mindset always has been, since I was little and even now, is I don't give up. So the quote that I have behind my desk, and I'll actually read it to you, is as follows, is victory does not go to the swift, nor the strong, but those who endureth to the end. And that is me. I'm reasonably intelligent, but I have what many entrepreneurs have, which is ADHD. So the good news about having ADHD is people think that you have no focus. It's attention deficit hyperactive disorder. But what it really means is you either have hyper focus or no focus. So when I would go into the office, I could work for 14 hours a day, just like an absolute laser. However, when you give me detailed emails or long project estimates and things like that, I just don't have a mind for detail. But the thing is, I just kept persevering and never, ever quitting, which sometimes in my business career got me in a lot of trouble because that's how I amassed $1 million or $2 million in debt before I started my technology company, because I just kept on going. And other times it worked out to my benefit when I had a better idea.
So was this natural to you, or when you advise somebody else on how to cultivate this type of mindset, how will you ask them or coach them to cultivate the similar mindset that is necessary for entrepreneurial success?
That's a great question, because if you've ever done the DISC profile, DISC, I'm all D. So I'm all D, very little I, very little S, very little C, and I would imagine most good entrepreneurs have a lot of D and some I. Is my hunch for most good ones, and that's to some degree you can change that, and to some degree that you can't. But more or less, the major thing, one thing I wish I had done differently that I do differently now in working in businesses, is I got lots of feedback. So when I was first starting my very first business in 1998. I thought my idea was so good. I didn't want to share with anybody because I wasn't ready to face the criticism. But now I share my business ideas with everybody. I get lots of feedback. I'm much more humble than I've ever been in my life, because I've been put on my backside far too many times by business. So I really believe that I'm not perfect. I never will be perfect. And the more feedback I can get, the fewer mistakes that I'll make. So not only I would recommend to all business owners, number one, just you got to have unbelievable passion for what you're doing and be willing to work the long hours. I've always told all entrepreneurs you can work part-time. It's a part-time job, either 12 hours a day that you want. So you just pick whatever 12 hours you want. I worked 70 hours a week for a better part of 10 years. And then on top of that is being really humble, getting a good board of advisors, getting lots of friends, and getting lots of input along the way. And you got to kind of learn which feedback you listen to and which feedback you ignore. And that's also a talent too.
That's good. That's great. Now you mentioned all these things, and I found a little bit of a pattern there, and it's all about discovering yourself. Like, as you said, like getting feedback, being humble, and becoming more self-aware, about your shortcomings, about your biases. Will you agree with that statement?
Oh, big time. So I'm a complete and total child of personal development and professional development. So I attended my first personal development workshop when I was 18 years old, and I've been to roughly 1 or 2 workshops every single year ever since. And every year I think I've learned the next new magic chunk, which is going to make me complete. Like I've learned all of it that I can possibly learn about myself. And then I go to another course and I learn about new things I never knew about before, new areas. So I'm a huge believer in reading books, listening to podcasts, attending courses. I've been to every single major course you can possibly imagine. And I meet people and they go, "Hey, Peter, I was thinking about going to XYZ course." I go, "Well, that's great. How many courses have you been to in your life?" And they go, "None. And this will be the one I go to." Like, you're going to go, that's it? I mean, so I don't understand that mentality. It's like, yes, you go to that one and you go to the next one. And you just keep on going. I'm a huge believer in attending every single personal professional course you can possibly get your hands on. The journey of self-discovery never, ever, ever ends. And the more you can get feedback on who you are and how you operate through courses and coaches and colleagues, the faster you can improve. So humility is really the super fuel for growth.
Yeah, I completely agree. Yeah, I mean, just reaching out, asking for help, it can cut short your journey cut short as in compress it and make it more efficient by several years. Yeah,
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk about your company, ThriveUnion. So what is it that you do? What kind of products and services do you provide?
Oh, thank you for asking. I really wanted to, I've been in personal development for 30 years, as I mentioned, and there were always things about it that I didn't like. I really didn't like, going to a course and then having a hard sell up to the next course. I didn't like going to a course, meeting some really fantastic people, and then not having contact with them again unless I paid for the next course, and I would lose touch. I didn't like the serial nature of it. I really wanted something more ongoing. So ThriveUnion is kind of the first of its kind, which is not only a life school, which means everything you didn't learn in school in order to be successful, including things like emotional intelligence and boundaries and responsibility and integrity training, more or less all the positive values that a human being needs to succeed. It is next to impossible to create them in a vacuum. So the hermit living alone does not develop. You have got to be in community with other people, constantly refining yourself and seeing what is working and not working, no matter what quality you want to develop, whether it be vision or responsibility or integrity or empathy. Those all have to be developed in the company of other people. So number one, we offer the highest quality life school classes you can possibly imagine. 3-day courses, 6-day courses, 90-day courses. And they help people get different certifications in empowerment, leadership, or facilitation. Then we also have a real-world community, which means we meet regularly. And this is a low-intensity way of people constantly sharpening the saw to improve their lives. Because personal development is not something you do once a year. It is a constant lifestyle if you want to grow. Everything that a person wants requires their growth. Whether they want a better relationship, whether they want to go on more vacations, a better job, a breakthrough as an entrepreneur, everything requires growth. So you got to constantly be growing in order to do that. And then the third thing ThriveUnion is about is world and betterment. I'll ask this of you, Manuj. How confident are you that the earth and society will be better off in 50 years than it is right now?
I'm fairly confident, actually.
All right, good. I'm glad you're the optimist. I'm not that optimistic yet.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hopeful that humanity will come around and really embrace some technology breakthroughs that makes humanity much more sustainable than it is right now. Yeah. But I'm frankly, the direction we're headed, I'm a little bit worried right now. So
no, I mean, yeah, we obviously have challenges.
So, we are a collection of people who's not only learning how to live better, we're not like a community who lives in not lives together in the same house, but lives together on a regular basis, providing support and growth, but also we're out doing community service as well. We want to make the world a better place. So ThriveUnion is a fully integrated life school, community, and also community service organization where we do all of those things.
That sounds really wonderful. Is it generally, do you cater to entrepreneurs or anybody who's interested in personal development?
It's anybody. What's amazing is if you look at our rooms, I am so incredibly proud of our rooms. We have people from their 30s to their 80s in our room. Wow. Of every ethnicity, every religion, every political background. We are the ultimate melting pot. You would not believe how diverse our room is. We're not religious, we're not political, and we just accumulate all people who have like values, who really believe in growth and fulfillment and community, who comes and sees us. We have some of the smartest people you could possibly imagine in our group. We attract very smart, open-minded people.
That's great. That's great. And so you mentioned they have similar values, and part of being self-aware is also figuring out exactly what you value most. And when I talk to people, including my own example, I used to think I know my values, but it was more about like respecting others and not harming other people, but not like at a deeper level, like what exactly drives me. So what is your opinion? Do people really understand themselves at that level, that what are their core values?
We do a values exercise on a regular basis where we have people look at a list of values and usually try to rank them, what's most important and least important. But at the end of the day, a value is just a word that you use as a label that hopefully generalizes the decisions you actually make. So you might say my value is I really value honesty, but over 1,000 times during the course of the day, that's actually challenged and tested to see whether you actually are honest or not. So your values are really dependent, not based on what you say that they are, but actually on how you literally behave during the course of the day.
That's cool. That's great. And so as you go on this personal development journey, you find out more about yourself. Ultimately, the goal is to find your life purpose and sort of build your life in alignment with that purpose. So is that something that you follow, or do you agree with? And if so, how do you help people do that?
Oh, that's a great question. So our philosophy is based around flourishing or human well-being or thriving, which comes directly from the School of Positive Psychology. Between the School of Positive Psychology and also longevity. So there's a great book called Blue Zones by Dan Buettner. And in there, it talks about the ways of living longer and happier. And purpose is one of the most important ways you want to live a longer, happier, healthier life. Purpose is one of the big three you've got to make sure you know. That was one of the reasons I never liked the motivational speakers, is they were always kind of focused upon exterior things, thinking positive thoughts and doing affirmations and jumping around and being excited and having a good mindset. And the truth is, the best motivation comes from the inside, and that's from living your purpose. So once you know what your purpose is, how you can be in service of human beings, the difference you want to make in the world, it is the most natural self-motivator you'll ever have. You'll never have a challenge getting out of bed in the morning, working hard all day, because you're driven by your purpose. So purpose is really important. And we actually have a part of our 90-day course to help people figure out their purpose. It's not, unfortunately, just a workshop in one day.
Awesome. So it is a very involved exercise to find your purpose, because a lot of people, once again, they confuse what they do as a job as their purpose or their family, or they don't go like one level deeper. So it seems like you have an elaborate exercise for that?
We do.
Okay, awesome. And also, I want to bring up this community component, which, as you rightly pointed out, a lot of people miss out on, and it is affecting overall well-being. Like, loneliness is rising in numbers. And so, first of all, what is the importance of belonging and community in people's lives?
I'm so glad you asked that. We really believe that loneliness is the new cancer. It is literally killing people because they're so lonely. And the most recent statistics coming out on a regular basis are absolutely horrifying. So loneliness, if you're lonely on a regular basis, it's actually worse than smoking 15 cigarettes a day. That's how bad loneliness is.
Wow.
The rates of loneliness, anxiety, depression, and suicide, all those numbers are the highest they have been in recorded history. We are more isolated than we ever have been. And this is hurting us both on a micro and a macro level. On a micro level, it is the anxiety, it is the depression, it is how we are cocooning ourselves in our houses with our technology. We've made our houses so incredibly comfortable that it's easier not to go out. It's easier just to stay home and order food from our phones or order an Uber and basically get these services. We really have traded community for convenience, and we're paying a horrible price individually. So if I remember correctly, it's upwards of, the average American now has less than one best friend. The average American has less than one best friend, no confidence anymore. This is horrible for us. Yeah. It's also hurting us on a macro level, especially here in the United States. I know you in Canada probably watch our politics with the same horror that I do. And more or less, we've gotten to a place where we don't know how to talk to each other anymore. We don't know how to empathize with each other anymore, which means that we're not able to work together to solve really big human problems. Our species is facing some existential problems probably in the next 30, 40, or 50 years, and we're not able to talk about them because the loneliness we experience makes us so angry, anxious, and distrusting of other people that we can't approach them. Yeah. So it's a huge problem, and we really believe that community can be a huge part of the answer in solving our problems.
That's so true. Anybody who has been lonely or disconnected, because we could be around people and still be lonely, right?
Oh, absolutely. So you can be in a marriage and be alone. You can be in a crowded office and be alone. You can be in a mall and be alone. So yes, isolation can find people still in very busy places.
Yeah. So, do you have any insight into why this is happening? Like, what is the root cause? Any insights you may want to share? Because I always believe, once you figure out the root cause, you can start to, affect it at that level and gets exponentially better from there.
Oh, that's a great question. So, I mentioned earlier how I'm not a big fan of the prosperity doctrine. The prosperity doctrine has been what's driving Western society and especially the United States. Mm-hmm. If you were to ask, the average American, what is the goal of your life? And they would say it's more or less personal enrichment. Mm-hmm. The average American, the American dream is to have your own house, most likely somewhat isolated, either alone on a cul-de-sac or out in the mountains or woods completely and totally alone, and have enough money that you don't have to see anyone. Mm-hmm. If you understand anything about positive psychology, you got to understand that goal is completely and totally warped. Mm-hmm. We are social creatures and we need other people. So what psychologists have told us is anything more than your basic standard of living, more money does not make you happier. Yeah. So more than about $75,000 per year here in America, which gives you housing, a car, medical care and technology and food. Anything more than that, more money is not making you happy. And most people's goal is to be alone, mm-hmm. which is the one of the fastest ways to die, more or less, is by being alone. So what we say is really our goal has got to be based on fulfillment, which is being in a loving tribe who knows you and you know them. It's living a life of purpose and most likely surrounded by other people. Now, you can have your own house, have your own privacy, but we've got to be inside these interwoven communities if we want true psychological and emotional health.
Yeah, that's so true. And so, as you're trying to address this problem, which is a very noble cause, by the way, a lot of people don't realize how important this is right now. I mean, we focus on bigger problems which are more in news, like global warming and all that. So, which are really big problems, but loneliness, hardly people talk about it. Like, they just say, it is what it is. So, um, now, as you're helping these people, do you see transformation
Oh my
as
gosh.
they, like, can you share a few
Yeah.
stories?
Oh, yeah. I'm constantly amazed by that. What's kind of interesting about transformation, and we really do believe in transformation, and transformation is where you have a new realization of who you are and what you can achieve.
Mm-hmm.
And transformation is so much easier to witness looking at somebody else than it is to see in yourself.
Yeah.
Kind of remember going back to when you were having your growth spurts at 12, 13, 14 years old, and you were growing a quarter of an inch or a half an inch every couple of months, and your parents would talk about how tall you're growing. You're like, oh, I don't know, I don't see it. And true, you couldn't see it. And the same thing's true about transformation. And every single week in my community, I have somebody who has been starting to come 3, 4, 5 weeks in a row, and they come and they say, Peter, I'm not having suicidal ideation anymore. I'm not lonely anymore. This 1 hour a week when I come to this meeting, it lifts me up for the whole entire week. It is amazing how spending an hour or 2 hours a week in community can be completely and totally transforming for people. So yeah, I hear those stories and I see them. I see it in their eyes. Their light in their eyes comes back on. It's amazing.
That's awesome. That's great. Well, let's. We are almost. The time is up. I would love to continue this discussion, but we have other engagements. But maybe we can continue this on another episode. I really want to thank you for coming onto the episode and sharing your story and sharing these really important paradigms that people need to pay attention to. So, any entrepreneurs who are listening, please try to work on these and get. Go inside, go within, find out your true self. It will really help you in your professional and personal life for sure. Now, before I let you go, Peter, can you tell us how people can reach out to you?
Yeah, thank you so much for asking that. We have developed an amazing YouTube channel. So if you go to YouTube and search for ThriveUnion or go to youtube.com/ThriveUnion, we actually have an online life school. And there we have over 55 different videos on different topics: responsibility, integrity, loneliness, you name it. We've created topics there. They're really educational and fun. They're value packed. That's the first place you should go. Go and watch one of our 5-minute videos. They're absolutely amazing, and subscribe to the channel. The second place you can find us is at thriveunion.org. We only have one chapter right now down here in Orange County, California. If you're local, we'd love to have you come by and visit us here in Orange County. And we really hope to open more chapters as we continue to develop our process. I would love to come back and talk with you again. Most likely, we're going to be sponsoring an awareness month this year called Social September in September of 2020, where we encourage people to put down their technology and pick up a friend. And we're going to give people 30 days of social challenges. You can do one of them, you can do all of them, that'll actually help you get reconnected with human beings.
That's great. Well, that sounds like a real challenge.
That it will be. We're really excited about it.
All right, great. Thank you so much.
Manuj, thank you so much. Great being here today.
And that's all for now. Until next time. Now, if you're an entrepreneur or a career professional, then I invite you to join our growing community. Navigate to bootstrapping.group. As a welcome bonus, you will get the Startup Founders Technology Accelerator video series and Mastering Your Inner Game video series absolutely free. This series of short videos address some core issues which are instrumental in helping you move forward in your business or career. The videos are yours to view and share for free. No obligations or strings attached, except for one. You have to take action and implement it. So join us today. Navigate to bootstrapping.group. If you want more engaging videos and insightful interviews with industry's thought leaders, then check out the other videos we have picked for you. The link is right there. And if you want to be notified about our new content, please do consider subscribing to our channel.